Hello. I remember when I was a student, uh, my teachers could call me dull and lazy, but I could attend school from Monday to Friday, and I was on all forms of coaching. But the truth is, every time I couldn't go beyond 10 marks. Why? Because I couldn't read. And most of my teachers didn't have any remedy or solutions on children like I. And I believe with that, that is one of the major challenges that we are still having up to now.
This is known in Kenya, it's going to be known in the entire Africa. And we are talking about African development, African being knowledgeable, African having integrity and insisting on the humbleness. If it's known in Kenya, it's going to be known everywhere. We need it. Please, my government, knowing that Kenya is full of bright minds from the birth, embrace things like this in our children, in our toddlers, so that they can come up with this sort of knowledge. No guesswork, no just confidence, because as you know, our own Father, the Creator, is also confidence. And since He is our Father, we are like Him. We need this confidence. And people like this who, from only God knows how He picked them, and then they come and transfer this to our children. We give them chance, we give them resources, and we help them deliver what they are supposed to deliver. Because to be honest, that was really nice. You delivered it.
The first thing we have to realize as teachers, as a nation, as schools, we must emphasize reading to avoid cheating of exams.
The rica approach is much better. It's much better. Within 1 week, the whole school changed. If you train a teacher, you have trained them. So I think they should invest much in training teachers, get in touch with the teen, because really they are doing a tremendous job.
Teachers in need. I first got to know Peter when I was in Machi, India. And teacher Peter has really helped in improving the quality of teaching in our schools in the city. Thank you so much, Teacher Peter. We cannot take this for granted. The knowledge you have acquired here today, members, is for your own good, and then for the good of your what? Your schools. But tomorrow you will not be in school, but you will move with that knowledge.
Hello everyone, my name is Mary, one of the teachers of Kampala Quality Kindergarten. We have just learned about the rica approach. It is my first time to hear about it, but I have liked it because it simplifies learning and it makes learning also interesting as the other methods that we use. But this one is much more simpler for the learners to grasp the concept. The rica people, well done. Thank you very much for that simpler approach to learning. It makes the learners active, and it is more lively, and it is bringing this approach to everyday life. These are the things that the children see every day, the things that they give us examples to these sounds. So it is much more simpler for the learners to grasp the concept.
When we started our community school, yes, in 2013, that is one of the major things that I wanted to address. Why? We looked for teachers, but we couldn't get good teachers. Why? Good teachers were very expensive and we couldn't afford paying any. And making it worse, a teacher who knew how to teach reading, those ones you couldn't talk about them because you couldn't afford them. A child who pays school fees of 45 and the teacher who wants money over 500, those are things that were not matching. And with that, with also my past experience of repeating classes, it gave me that desire to look for a lasting solution that could help our community school and also help other schools. And that made me to do a lot of benchmarking, and with love and passion, and also being practical in class, because I'm a victim. I'm a person who repeated primary 3 times. I repeated P2, I repeated P3, I repeated P5. And in all my reports, I remember I didn't have any word like promoted. I could only always have a word try. So, and if a teacher could ask me a question verbally, I knew the answers but whenever they could tell me to write the answers down, that was my main challenge. So I see that what challenged me those days, it is the same challenge that is still challenging other learners and the children whom we have today. And with that, I saw so many of my fellow learners dropping out of school out of frustration. I remember one of my teachers, one day called me and said, Peter, maybe you're bewitched. Why at this age you can't read and you can speak the good English, but you can't read? Because I grew up in a family whereby our father used to make us speak a lot of English. So with the English, I could speak it, but I couldn't read. Then a person could ask me a question and I could respond to it. So it pains me to see that in this age and era that we are still struggling with the same challenge that I faced. And with that, after a series or a couple of years doing a lot of tests and trials in class, we came up with an approach called the RICA approach. And with that, it was purely to help struggling schools, underprivileged schools, and schools and maybe in the villages. And we saw it working because parents started appreciating. We saw people appreciating, and after people appreciating the RICA approach, that's when we started scaling it up in other schools. And when we scaled it up in other schools, schools started loving the approach simply because it was very simplified, contextualized, applicable, and enjoyable. So we started training teachers, and that was in 2017. And in 2019, we were blessed whereby even the Ministry of Education recommended our training programs. And so far we have trained over 125,000 teachers all over the country and even outside Uganda. So it pains me to see that even at this point in time, children are still repeating. Based on the World Bank and UNICEF statistics, they say that I think out of 7 out of 10 children by the age of 10, they can't read, they are struggling with reading, or they can't read even the basic words. Why should we be having such a challenge at this point? So we believe that if at least countries, if governments, if ministries of education take a very deep analysis to come up with simplified approaches on how to teach reading, and at least we solve that challenge once and for all, we shall not have a challenge of reading in Africa. We shall not have a challenge of reading in the entire world, because reading is the mother of all subjects, and that is our belief under the RICA approach. Then reading has to be taught in all classes, from the foundational classes up to the upper classes. We have trained teachers from nursery section, that is the ECD level, to the secondary section. But even in secondary, that is high school, we have seen that children can't read. Students there can't read. We have also seen teachers struggling with spellings. Then you find that most educators believe that reading has to be taught only from ECD section, maybe from baby class, that is KG1, to primary 3, or level 3 of learning, maybe when a child is around 8-9 years, which is not right. The way how mathematics grows is the same way how reading grows. So reading or literacy has to be taught in every class, and that is the main objective of the RICA approach. And that is one of the things that we advocate for mainly in all our platforms, whenever we meet teachers, whenever we meet school directors. And we thank God that with that, and also thank schools, that currently, because of the RICA approach, we have seen schools, so many schools in Uganda and even outside Uganda, starting to embrace reading even in upper classes. We have seen teachers starting to embrace reading even in upper classes. I remember one day we went to a school and conducted a training, and in this school they invited all the teachers, and all the teachers, even the ones to upper classes, those ones who teach math, science, SST, they said, what are we going to do in a reading training? But at the end of the day, when most of them attended, they said, we have attended so many training sessions, but they could always teach us things of baby class, middle class, and top class. But in this training, I've learned how to incorporate reading in my subject. And right now you find that we see a teacher of P7 of upper class teaching math and reading. Another one, they can incorporate science, math in their reading in science and math. So why? Because you find that reading cuts across, it is in every subject. So I strongly call upon all stakeholders, if at least we are to kick illiteracy out of Africa, we should greatly invest in reading. We should greatly invest in literacy at all levels of learning. And we should make it a household learning area whereby all teachers have to be involved. And also the training colleges should put a lot of efforts in that. And in most cases you find that today if a teacher goes and learns only sounds, they believe that they have learned how to teach reading, which is not right. There is a difference between learning sounds and learning how to teach reading. Reading is beyond sounds. It is like learning numbers. Learning numbers doesn't qualify a person to become a teacher of math. I might know how to teach numbers, but it doesn't mean that I can teach math. So that's the same thing with reading. So with that, we call upon every school, all the stakeholders, to join us in this campaign of kicking illiteracy out of Africa and out of the world using the RICA approach, because we have a very simplified approach that can be used by any teacher, that can be used by any nation, that can be used at any level, because the content is segmented in levels. Then we also strongly believe that with the RICA approach, we also have the rhymes, and these are contextualized rhymes that make reading very simple. Now, what is the biggest challenge where we have a reading challenge in Africa? We are still struggling with reading. Then we have entered into an era of confusion whereby people are now adopting accents. They are mixing accent with reading, whereby you will find that a Ugandan or a person wants to speak like an American, a person wants to speak like a Briton, which might not be possible because those are different accents. Let us at least work on issue per issue. So with that, we also call upon all stakeholders to see ways on how we can make reading a major learning area, whereby it should also be examinable. If reading was examinable in all classes as an independent subject, we would put a lot of efforts and interest and also a lot of energy to see that children learn how to read. But in this age and era, whereby the world is elevating to AI, for us we are still having children who can't read. We are still having teachers who can't spell, because they also learned reading in a very inorganic way. So what does the RICA approach do? It helps teachers to learn how to teach reading organically. That's the first thing. It enables people to learn how to love reading. Then it also simplifies reading. Then it can be used by anyone, and it's a local approach. So with that, any government, any Ministry of Education, any stakeholder, we call upon you to join us to kick illiteracy out of Africa if we really have the genuine hearts. But if we don't do that, we're going to continue having so many children drop out of school simply because they can't read, and a lot of interventions have been done or made, but few interventions have been done out of the realities on ground. I'm a living example. I repeated classes because I couldn't read. But even the teachers, our teachers could attend trainings, but most of them were not supporting people like I, because we were in a special category. We needed a rescue strategy. So again, with the RICA approach, it has all those ingredients of the rescue approaches that can help struggling learners. I'm here calling upon every stakeholder, all parents, all schools, all ministries of education, all NGOs to join us in this struggle or in this fight of kicking illiteracy out of Africa. And we can give you a timeline. If people join us, it can just take us just 3 to 5 years when the reading challenge is no longer there in Africa. Thank you for watching a rhymes channel that is called the RICA Rhymes and Vibes. May God bless you. We love you very much.
I'm called Bishoga Virgo Dampeche from Kongoro Primary School in Mtoma district. We have been on workshop from RICA, and we studied about sounds, which was an interesting session. And I know I will put it into practice very well. Thank you. I enjoyed mostly rhymes.
By passion. It is inside you. You don't need to strengthen. You don't need energy. You don't need to shout. You need also to put action when you're teaching.
Nairobi, Kenya, a teacher in St. Nicholas Junior Academy. The action reading has nailed it. So now I can read in on.
If we use the right strategies, would keep that out.
I feel happy that I can read these days, and I thank Madam Agnes for teaching me how to make me to read hard words. And I thank her also for teaching me how to spell and write words.
I'm here when I don't know how to write the SP of drought, but really she have told me. Now, right now, I can write the SP of drought, and I'm so proud of her.
This is School, South Sudan.